multi-day solo sea kayaking trip to the islands of Kerrera and Mull in the Scottish Highlands. This solo trip was planned to be a nice mellow one, launching from near Oban to visit the islands of Kerrera and Mull over a few days, hopefully visiting parts of southern Mull I hadn't been to before. The weather forecast looked a little uncertain, perhaps okay for a 3-night, 5-day trip window before becoming very changeable. So I set off with sufficient supplies for a very flexible adventure. I had an early start and a drive up to near Oban to my launch spot. I wasted no time in moving the boat, sorting out the gear and loading up. It was late afternoon when I set off. My destination was still undecided, either to head round the southern tip of Kerrera and over to Mull for the first camp, about a 2-hour paddle, or to have a short paddle and camp to the southern end of Kerrera and then head over to Mull the following day. It was a lovely evening's paddle down the sound of Kerrera. But it was obvious, even though I was very sheltered, the wind strength was notably increasing, not what was forecast. When I turned the corner of Kerrera, I could see conditions in the Sound of Mull were rather lively due to the strong wind, so I decided to go for the easy option, stay in the shelter and camp on Kerrera at Kayaking Bay. Not really a hard decision, as this is one of my favourite places to camp. Kayaking Bay, it was nice to be back. My GPS track day 1. Moving the boat and gear on a solo trip can be a real pain. I had a trolley, but many landing spots, like this one, are just not suitable to use it. So then the boat has to be completely emptied and carried up the beach. But I guess that's just part of a solo trip. I soon had the tent set up and enjoyed a glass of wine, some food in the late evening sunshine. Then time to hunt for firewood. I wasn't expecting to find much here, but managed to find enough for a decent fire. A short walk to visit the ruins of Kayaking Castle, a very impressive castle with a gruesome history. The views from here are absolutely superb. Time for the fire, and of course a glass or two of whiskey. It's great to kayak with mates, but solo trips are also so rewarding. I sat up very late and watched the stars, and was also treated to a faint aurora. Day 2. A fairly still, sunny morning, but chilly in the shade. So, a porridge breakfast, do the pans and break camp. Then move the boat, haul the gear and pack the boat. This was a super morning. I set off heading for Mull, about an hour of open water paddling. The paddle over to Mull was fantastic. The scenery is amazing here. On reaching Mull, I paddled into the entrance of Loch Spelv and had a break at the very atmospheric ruined croft. I'd half planned to camp here later in the trip. I checked the weather again, and it was now forecasting very strong winds and rain, arriving a few days earlier than I'd originally seen. Part of paddling in this area is the uncertain, rapidly changing weather. I contemplated sticking with the original loose plan, but eventually decided against it, as it would set me up for the return open water crossing in some very bad weather. So instead I set off back to Kerrera to find a camp on the western side. From there I could work better with whatever the weather decided to do. It's always good to have a nice plan B. It was a lovely paddle back over to Kerrera. I headed north up the west side of Kerrera. I was looking for a camp spot I'd spotted on a previous trip that had a lot of driftwood for a fire. I found the very small inlet I was looking for, which was a much nicer landing spot than it at first seems. A nice short carry and a good launch at either low or high tide. My GPS tracked day 2. So that time to empty and move the boat above the high tide line. I soon got the tent up and a brew made. Gathering driftwood, yes, there was plenty here. Then a walk with some stunning views. Later, food, a glass of wine, and time just to sit and soak in the atmosphere, the pleasures of a solo trip. As the sun dipped, it was time to light that fire. And of course some whiskey and also some musical entertainment. Well, there was no one to annoy other than a few sheep. Day 3. A stunning sunrise this morning. A very relaxed breakfast and break of camp. The weather was very nice again, but it was still forecast to change the next day. Very strong winds and heavy rain were now forecast for the next 2 days. So I decided to shorten the planned trip and head back to the mainland. The decision was a fairly easy one. I'd had a fantastic time and didn't feel the need this time to battle the elements or sit it out in the wind and the rain. I leisurely transported the gear and packed the boat. Heading north up the west side of Kerrera. The view below the surface was equally impressive. I called in at Kerrera Island to suss it out. There were no obvious camp spots and there were a lot of birds. I was in no rush today. I had a nice potter along, enjoying the experience and the views. Round the north side of Kerrera towards Oban. Then south, back down the sound to my launch spot with a freshening breeze. Well, that was a super little trip. My GPS track, day 3. My actual trip summary.